Hey everybody, Saul Sunforge here for Dungeons and Taverns. We're going to go ahead and get more progress made on the map today. Of course, we're going to listen to classical music while we do it. I'm thinking looks like we have probably two more land masses to get to, um, and then some of the islands, and we still have the rivers to go yet. So let's go ahead and get started on those as we listen to some classical music. Hopefully, you're having a great day and let's get this done. I've already had one viewer ask for sci-fi maps, and so that will come after this map is done with. I have another world map that I started working on a while ago that's been done. I just have to erase some of the city names and things like that, and it'll be ready to go, and that'll be ready for you to download as well here shortly. And don't forget, if you enjoy what I'm doing, making these maps for you guys free of charge, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe. Leave a comment down below if there's anything in my future maps that you wish to see. Alright, so here's our map as it stands right now. The last thing we worked on previously was these islands up here. And then we went ahead and put in we blended in some dwarven outposts for you to use, and you don't have to use them, of course. They could be abandoned dwarven outposts if you wish to, or they could have new occupants. It's all up to you. In case you forgot, here's the rules that we rolled up when we first started creating this map. It's 3 continents, they're connected. There's 24 rivers, there's gonna be 12 lakes, 1 tundra, which we've already covered, 5 mountain ranges, 10 islands, which take up about 30% of the space. There's no way for me to measure that. I just gotta eyeball it. So, I feel like we're pretty close. 19 forests and 8 jungles. So this is gonna be a very wet and lush environment. Alright, first I wanted to clear out some of this stuff over here. So this way I can make some rivers. I made a few, but we gotta clear out these trees and things from the path of the river. Just so it's a little bit more visible, because of where it's at, and how short it is. You might miss it. But we have one coming from here, from the ocean, connects over here to this lake over here, and then well, I think we made this last time, but it's a river coming down from the mountain stream out to the ocean. We made these 2 rivers here from the snow melt. They connect and then they go out into the ocean. I'm going to move the mountain range from this island here, and I'm going to go ahead and put it up along this ravine here that's been created. I think it will look a lot better. This island here, we'll use it for a import-export hub. Alright, so we're putting this mountain range here. We're increasing the size of the mountains. These are going to be some of the larger mountains on the map. And it's just going to divide the upper portion of the continent with the lower portion. And it will help accentuate some of these features that I made 2 sessions ago. Because the mountains are going to encase everything that I've done. And so it'll draw it to the foreground. I think I'm going to go ahead and change this direction a bit steeper downwards. So this way there's more separation between the mountain ranges. And then as we go, they're going to be getting smaller. And then they'll end up in some hills. Alright, there we go. That part's done. We just have to add the hills and the rest of the mountain range. Depending on the scale that you wish to go with, if this is a single continent or a world, this mountain range will span, hundreds of miles up to thousands of miles, depending on how you wish to do the range, the scale of this map. I think it looks pretty decent for the size of a world. Now, I'm not going to draw in the mountain passes because I'll leave that up to you. But I would suggest one going around this way, just because it's around the mountain. But you want one through the mountains, right? So you probably want to take somewhere into the thinner portion of the mountains and make that your pass. You could probably do right here even, out to that way. And you might be able to do another one right in here. Those seem like pretty decent places for them. And they could be dwarven controlled even. Because obviously dwarves like mountains. And so they could control the passageways. Or you could, even if you don't want to go dwarven, you could go with hill giants. But obviously that way is going to be a little bit more hostile. But it could be a risk-reward scenario. The group knows that they have to pass these mountains. Do they go the long way and take a few extra days? Or do they try to go through the mountain pass and have to deal with these dwarves or these giants or these goblins? You choose the race. I'm just throwing out ideas to give you. You don't have to take any of my ideas if you don't want to. I'm going to include an elven world tree down here. That could be the way that the elves get back and forth to the Feywild. It could be their capital to watch over these forests over here. But we'll surround it by these mountains here for protection. Alright, now I've got to reduce the size of some of these bodies of water here to make it look appropriate. There, I reduced the size of this lake by a half. And so now you get to, decide the scale for yourself. I'm going to do that with all the bodies of water. Make them a little bit smaller, more appropriate to what their size would be, while still maintaining, some of the detail that is afforded to them because they are larger. Alright, so now we have to connect the ocean to the sea here. Just a simple connection. But then we're going to have to make another sea over here, connecting to the ocean over here. Because it's a salt body of water that's salt because it's fed from the ocean. But it's primarily locked in land. And then to get across the sea here, you could have like a settlement that controls who gets to go across, like a border crossing. It could be like a rather large bridge, or you could have, you can make it so that there's like an island somewhere in there, and that there's two bridges that connect from either side to that island, and then whoever controls that island controls who gets to egress beyond there. All right, so let's go ahead and create this sea over here. Probably be a little bit smaller, but the water coming down from the natural water that's from the melting snows on the mountains combines with the salt water, so you could create some type of cool effect there where the warmer water and the cooler water meet. All right, so the next thing I think I want to do is I want to make a river going from the ocean to this lake here. This one here is going to be fresh water. Alright, so these green mountain ranges here surrounding the elven tree of the world, I'm going to go ahead and take these mountains and probably widen them a bit. So I'm going to connect them at a different portion. So do right up here. So their areas are quite a bit larger now, but those mountains are still there. And it creates the dueling mountain ranges. Depending on your scale, of course, but I mean, they still would be dueling mountain ranges, but just depends on how far apart they are in your world. And of course, you can have mountains, alone, not part of a mountain range. That's fine, and we might do some of those here. Not this map, because we're already almost out of time, unfortunately, but for the next map, we will. And so having all these mountains here is going to dictate our land around those mountains. Meaning, since there's so many mountains, that this whole valley is going to be full of hills and ravines and things like that, swamps. And so that's what we're going to do. Let's get that done real quick. Alright, so I swapped out the spacing of the Dwarven Stronghold. I put it at the end, and then just filled that portion with another mountain. Because I don't want the dwarves and the elves to be so close, just in case you don't want that. It's obviously a good classical conflict. I'll increase the size of the tree, maybe put it more centrally located. Put it towards the back, central. There we go. And then we're just going to fill this in with grass, hills, and trees. Over here is going to be grass, hills, and swamp. And then we'll have some forest in this area over here. And the mountains are going to separate the forest. Doesn't look like we're going to get to work on the islands today, but that's okay. We only have probably 2 more videos to go before this is done and ready to re-release to you. Alright, so then we're going to make a rather substantial sized river. I'm using 5 point. Usually I'll use 4 point for a smaller one. But I have gone up to 8 before. It just depends on the size of your map. But we're going to go ahead and this is going to go all the way down. You could probably even have it split. We're going to have the mountaintop waters, the melt. It's going to substantiate this river. It's going to keep it going, and it's going to cause all these smaller rivers to come off of it. So we could probably go out into the land a bit and curve it down to the lowest elevation. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and draw off the rivers off of the mountain melt. Alright, so it is rare for one river to split into 2, but it's not unheard of. It definitely happens in nature. Bifurcation and distributaries instead of tributaries, they definitely happen. But this one over here, this right leg of the river, it's slightly smaller. I went down to a size 4. And it's going to end sort of close to the same place as the main branch that I had there. But again, according to the scale of your map, this may be hundreds of miles off, or it could be just 50. It's it's up to you. The next map we make, we're definitely not going to treat it as flat, meaning we're going to have the north connect to the south. If there's a continent up at the top edge, it's going to continue on the other side. Vice versa for east and west. And that's going to be for the next world map after I go ahead and make a sci-fi map. Still trying to think of ideas for that. So if you're interested in sci-fi, stay tuned to this map series for the next map. Now, this land here could be the floodplains, okay? So this is the riparian floodplain whenever the banks of the water overflow. So this right here, this land here will be very fertile, very lush and green, and very good for growing crops. So let's reflect that. I decided I'm probably not going to connect them, actually. I'm going to go ahead and make this smaller river flow result purely from all the melted snow running off of all these mountain peaks. So we're going to disconnect this here, and it's going to be separated just by a few miles, but it's not going to be connected. So let's see what it looks like. Alright, so we established this will be the farmland. Now this will be the grazing land here. I got to change the size of that grass, but this is going to be buffalo grass in here. Alright, so we're filling this out here with the buffalo grass. And we'll put a few watering holes in here too. Like down the center or something like that. Like, maybe the remnants of a long since dried up river. There's just pieces of the river still standing, but mostly it's gone. So they form like little watering holes there for the animals to gather at. And really, all these mountains up here would have even small creeks coming down into this river here. But I went ahead and just accentuated the larger ones. This way there isn't like 75 just lines in water. You can tell what it is. I never claimed to be the best map maker. I just am very creative and enjoy doing it, and you know, figured I could help you guys out a little bit. And over here along the banks of the river and the mountains on the small side there, I'm going to go ahead and make melted snow, actually. Alright, let's go ahead and move that up to like size 10. Let's go ahead and lay it down. Fill in all these little extra gaps here. Right about there. The melted snow would end because the temperature is going to rise drastically the further south you go. And so that's why mainly it's just this side over here. And so the ground over there is very muddy, very slushy. You know, the snow really is only staying its form barely. But you can see there, it butts up against the mountains, so you could tell that the mountain, you can actually put a little bit of snow up in the mountains too. But since this is just a world map and not a regional map, I'm not really worried about things like that. And when you're making a world map, you don't need to include everything that I have, not nearly. Like, you don't have to change the colors like I do and all that stuff. It's basically all just to give you little context clues on things that you can do in that area. Like the tree density, that's all intentional. The colors of the grass to show the, you know, which grass is more fertile for planting and what type of crops might be there. That's all intentional. That's for you to read extra information and your players to read extra information from your world map versus a basic black and white map or a monochrome map. Alright, well, that's about it. We got 189 changes in, but they've all been pretty significant changes. When you're not laying down individual trees and things like that, you're going to have less changes. So the next map, we'll go ahead and we'll work on the rest of this land, and we might do something with over here. I'll take care of the islands off camera, off video. So this way, the next one will be the last one, and you'll have the map at the end of the session, pinned in the comments section. With that said, I'm Saul Sunforge. This is Dungeons and Taverns. I appreciate all of you. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and tell one other person about my channel. Word of mouth advertising is the best thing we could do here, and I appreciate all of you. So thank you so much for showing up, for showing out. Hopefully this map meets your expectations and your needs. If there's anything last minute changes you'd like to see, go ahead and leave them in the comment section of this video, and then I'll take a look at what we have, and I might make some last minute changes. And we'll add some more rivers, and we'll be done. So I appreciate having you along this journey with me. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.